Yeah. I don't know. Non-renovated
Hi everyone, are we ready to get started? I'm so excited everyone's here for our third 7x7 speaking event. I'm Lily Kirkland, the president of College Charleston's Founders Club, and the theme of today's 7x7 is Hidden Hustlers. We'll have 8 entrepreneurs sharing their story, 7 minutes each, and we'll be done in less than an hour.
My name is Ian Rubin. I'm the president of Phi Chi Theta here at the College of Charleston. We're so excited to have our third consecutive event now with Founders Club. The speaking events, both of the previous ones were amazing. We're so glad we're able to do it again with them. First, we're going to have Olivia and Ro introduce the Founders Club and PCT.
Hi guys, my name is Olivia. I'm a member of the Founders Club and Phi Chi Theta. So PCT is our co-ed business frat here at the College of Charleston. And we aim to help our students grow professionally through networking, mentorship, and bringing in great guest speakers like today. So if you guys are interested in joining PCT, we'll have recruitment again in the spring. So be sure you're following us on all our social media and you'll find out more information about that.
Hi guys, I'm Ro. I'm the vice president of the Founders Club. We are a student-run organization that focuses on students with entrepreneurial spirits or mindsets. So if you guys are interested in doing that, join us on Mondays at 5 p.m. Tate 132. We just finished up our last guest speaker, but we do have the AI innovation panel on November 10th.
And before we get started, just wanted to note there has been a change in a few of the speakers, but we have updated those in the pamphlet. And without further ado, we'll go ahead and give it over to Lily to kick it off, get started.
Yes. The speakers will be done in less than an hour, like I was saying, and we'll have some light bites out there and networking until 8 o'clock. So I encourage everyone to stay for that. And without further ado, our first speakers, Colin and Grayson.
Everybody done?
Yeah.
Thank you for coming. Thank you, College Charleston, for having us. Very excited to be here.
This was incredible. I gotta take a minute to bring it all in. I never thought I would be speaking in front of a college, so thank you all so much for having me.
So we're going to start everything with a little brief activation with everyone involved. The first thing, who here, by show of hands, has had an Aperol Spritz cocktail or knows of it?
And go ahead and keep your hands raised. Who here has had a limoncello spritz cocktail? Perfect.
Okay, keep them up. Who here has enjoyed a popsicle in their lifetime?
Yeah. Amazing. So
Yeah.
go ahead and put your hands down. In a matter of 10 seconds, I just did market research to prove the viability of Spritz Cart, and seems like it would be a success. Sometimes starting your own business is just as simple as doing a quick thing to see if it'll work and going for it.
I'm Colin, local Charlestonian, Citadel graduate, class of 2025. I've always been interested in owning businesses, and I thought who better to do it with than my best friend Grayson.
My name is Grace Padone. I'm very similar to Colin in that I've always had a knack for business, and I'm a born and raised Charlestonian. I've had multiple family members graduate from the Citadel, so I heard more than enough horror stories to know I did not want to go there. I did, however, go to college for a year and a half where I dropped out, originally taking a gap semester, but never returned in a pursuit of a professional soccer career. During that pursuit, Colin was studying abroad in Rome.
Yeah, fortunately, I got to leave the Citadel for a semester and go live in Italy. While I was there, I was fortunate to get a job at a local restaurant bartending. Don't tell the Citadel. But while I was there, it was apparent that Spritz was the most popular cocktail of Rome. And we would talk on the phone nearly nightly. And it was clear and obvious we wanted to start a business, and we figured bringing Spritz back to Charleston was the perfect way to do that. with my time spent there and like appreciation of the culture, and then
And my family heritage being from Italy and Sicily, it was a perfect fit for the both of us.
And so if you don't know what Spritz Cart is, give you a quick rundown. We are Charleston's #1 alcoholic popsicle experience.
We operate out of a fleet of mobile spritz carts doing public vending in the Charleston area. We also do private events like weddings, festivals, and markets. Also deliver our spritz pops directly to your door.
Yeah, we have 2 flavors, Aperol Spritz and Limoncello Spritz, 2 classic Italian and timeless cocktails.
Our mission statement from day one was to bring an authentic taste of Italy to every cart guest in our community here in Charleston. Now, I want y'all to fully understand what it's like in my experience in being a young entrepreneur. So I'd kindly ask everyone to please close their eyes. Give everyone a minute to do so. Just please trust me, go ahead and close your eyes. Now, I'd like you to think that you are a young entrepreneur sleeping peacefully. You're dreaming about how you are your own boss, you make your own schedule, and you're striving to achieve all of your goals and aspirations in life. Now, boom, you can open your eyes. It is time to wake up. You have things to do, decisions to make, and problems to solve. You do not have a to-do list, but you have a never-ending to-do scroll. Now, having so much on your plate on a day-to-day basis can get very monotonous. However, there's one way we get through that.
Yeah, and that's teamwork. We are very fortunate to be in the position to be business partners. We're even more fortunate to be friends of 20 years. We know each other to a T, meaning we work very well together. But like any business, there's going to be conflict, controversy, arguments, you name it. But what makes us so unique and successful is the fact that we're able to use our fundamental differences to push through these conflicts.
I am the visionary of Spritz Cart. Colin likes to always joke with me and say, I can see a shiny penny at the bottom of the Mariana Trench. What he means by that is I look 6 months, a year, 5 years ahead and plan the big picture of where the company needs to go.
Yeah, and I consider myself the implementer. So day-to-day, nitty-gritty details that really push the needle and building all the pieces of the puzzle that lead up to Grayson's big picture.
Now, how do we find peace in the differences between us? Well, it's also pretty simple. We write a figurative or sometimes a literal T-chart with the pros and cons of each of the decisions we want to make. The only thing that goes on there is facts. We make an objective decision that is best for the company, not off personal interest or emotions. Now, with that, there's a lot of misconceptions about starting a business as a young entrepreneur. One of the biggest things I see is people think they have to be ready to start. And the truth is, you will never be ready. In the game of business, everyone starts in the exact same place. So the sooner you get your piece on the board, the sooner you'll realize that a lot of your big goals and aspirations might not be as far away as you once thought.
While chasing those goals and aspirations, it's key to remember that owning a business, the progression is not linear. There's ups and downs, pitfalls, full 180s. Usually it won't make sense, and I can promise you it will never go to plan. So there's a few key characteristics that all business owners need. First being adaptability. It's critical. Number 2, confidence. You have to be confident in yourself and confident in what you're doing with your business. The third, and the most important, is focus on being consistently good, not occasionally great.
Now, if you only remember one thing from this conversation, I know we've given y'all a lot. It's that business is going to be risky. It's an occupational hazard and it's part of the game. There's so many variables in your day-to-day life that you simply can't control. So in order to continue to progress, you have to focus on solely the things that you can control.
Yeah, which is the best part and the worst part about business. The silver lining is that no matter what, you own it. You are the controller of your own destiny.
Business, simply put, is about the monetary gain you get from it. But that's not what wakes us up in the morning and continues to progress us forward. If we do not continue to progress in our personal development, if our personal development stagnates, our business is going to stagnate. So Spritz Cart holds us accountable every single day to be the very best version of ourselves. Simply put, you get out of your business what you're willing to put in. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Well, the 7 minutes went by pretty fast. You guys were only off by like 5 seconds. You guys did great. And our next speaker is gonna be Carly.
Hi, guys. So he just asked me when I graduated, and I said that I never did. And then he told me he didn't either, so I'm kind of wondering why we got invited here today, but hopefully I have something for you. So, like I said, my name is Carly. I'm the founder and CEO of Beach Crew, a coastal lifestyle apparel company. I actually have a store over on Sullivan's Island. How many of you guys have been there? All right, I've got some more of you to read with our marketing. I also have a store in Avalon, New Jersey, and on Nantucket Island, Massachusetts as well. Hopefully we get to come see you guys in your beach town someday as well. But 4.5 years ago, I was a junior in college at the University of Delaware, and I had this really great business idea to order some trucker hats and some smiley face patches off of Amazon. From there, just figuring out how the heck to get the patch on the hat was a journey in itself, when a lot more lessons would come after that, little did I know. So from there, I was living in my beach town that summer between my junior and senior year of college, and I just was so captivated by that beach lifestyle feeling that probably a lot of you know and love. You live here in Charleston. And I wanted to turn that into the concept of my lifestyle brand. I didn't want to just sell smiley face patch hats, but I wanted to create an environment where people could really come as they were, be themselves, be accepted, and just feel that lifestyle in their day-to-day life. So that's where my retail stores didn't just become retail stores, they became a place of belonging, connection, and I'm really passionate about just making super high quality apparel, not just your beach town slapped across a cheap sweatshirt that probably is gonna shrink in the wash anyways. So a lot of young founders ask me, how do you actually get off the ground? How do you actually go open up all these stores and start a business? And my question to you is, well, how are we going to get you to become from a dreamer to a doer? So my first point is, and thing to ask you guys to ask yourselves and to really take inventory on your own life. Where is that inner resistance that you're facing right now? Obsession and talent can get you pretty far. You guys can work your butts off and get somewhere. But the mental sport of entrepreneurship is going to really shake you. And that resistance training, just like you do in the gym, is going to be one of the most important parts of being an entrepreneur. For me personally, so I was 21 when I started my business. I was 22 when I opened up my first pop-up, and 23 when I signed my first lease for my own retail space. Sure, you guys, as being that age, can imagine I was freaking out to have to do that. But my dreams were so big, I knew I would figure out how to make it happen. And again, I figured the gap between where I am now and where I want to be is just that inner work and that inner resilience that I had to build. Some panic attacks came along the way, let me tell you, a lot of sleepless nights, feeling super alone, super afraid. My parents thankfully were there to talk to, but not too many other people. So I had to get tough and I had to do that inner work. I started cold plunging, doing saunas, truly everything to figure out what the heck to get my mind to not want to freak out at every second when I'm opening up a store and can barely make payroll half the time. Resistance tells us what's working and what isn't, but a lot of people are honestly too afraid to even get close to it. I find it kind of funny too that right now I had to stand up here in front of you guys when I'm probably one of the most stressed out I've been when I have 3 stores potentially to open in the next 6 months. 3 more stores. So my second part is, what are the inner beliefs that you have that you believe about yourself? Once you're in the arena and you're kind of putting in the work, you're starting your business, you came up with your great idea, what are you listening to? What comfort creator on TikTok is telling you something about yourself when you don't even know who you are? You don't know your own limits or what you're capable of, and you're too afraid to push towards them because, again, you're listening to other people. You're listening to maybe a family member who tells you can't go do it. Are you going to listen to what you know to be true? Or are you going to chase your calling, push towards that resistance, or will you succumb to the pressure? Living in the past is kind of what I see for someone who's not going to evolve. The past is going to hold you back every single time. But to evolve is, again, to see that gap between where you are now and where you want to be, and to put in that work in between. I kind of see it as a visual of like a cliff. You're standing on the edge, you're ready to jump off and leap, but you're kind of looking around for people to be clapping for you. I hate to break it to you, but probably no one's gonna be there. You're gonna be standing on that cliff, you're the only one who's gonna see the rocket ship that you're jumping onto below, but you have to take the leap. Like I said, I didn't graduate college, but I still was very, very aware that I needed to be a sponge and soak in as much information as I could. So I became a podcast junkie my 4 years of starting and growing my business. Ed Milet is one of my favorites, The Skinny Confidential. Listening to other entrepreneurs is your golden ticket into so many ideas, so many layers and levels of business. They've taught me how to be push towards that resistance, how to become resilient. They've taught me marketing, branding, all the ideas, and I've learned so much from people who have gone before me, so I highly recommend to listen to as many podcasts and get in a room like this as often as you can. Like I said, I dropped out of college, so as you guys can see, I'm a big dreamer, and I have kind of a risk tolerance that I've been able to build along the way. But I want to again encourage you, where is that resistance that you're facing? Where do you need to start getting uncomfortable? What 5 a.m. workout do you need to go to even though you hate waking up? Or what person do you need to actually pull over on the side of the road and help? Those are all the little things that will help you grow and help you when times get really chaotic. So let's all be honest, you've probably been taking an inventory of your life, I hope, this entire time. But are you going to jump? Are you going to take the risk? Are you going to leap forward and become a doer? Or are you always going to be just a dreamer? When I get stuck or resist the next leap, I get really clear on where the most I'm afraid. Right now, I'm standing up here with a full-time team and a bunch of stores. I have to act and become a leader. That's my resistance right now. It's not the easiest thing when a bunch of people are looking at you and you also have no idea what the heck you're doing yourself. So one of the things that I really do always think about is, what's the cost of me not going for it? What's the cost of me playing small instead of playing big? Why are you so afraid of your dreams being so big when you're probably meant to do something and make an impact in the world? That's why you're sitting here in the room. The cost of playing big might be failure. You might look really silly to all your family and friends. But for me, the cost of playing small is a lot of regret and a lot of, again, not living out my purpose. So some of my last tips for you guys, I have something called the 5-second funeral. A lot of people think that failure is final. So again, they don't push against the resistance, they don't take the leap, they're too scared of failure to even start. Failure isn't final. Failure is feedback. Failure is inevitable. You're going to face a lot of failure, no matter how big or small. But again, it's getting in the room, pushing yourself to the point of utter discomfort, and just going for it that will continue to have that 5-second funeral, not let it get the best of you, and keep growing. What is the cost going to be of you not showing up as the self that you were put on this earth to do? There's probably someone you're supposed to be impacting or a difference that you're supposed to make. That's why we're all here. So I encourage you to go do it. My business coach is really influential in my life, and she always says to me, Carly, I feel like there's a phone that's ringing. There's something that's calling you. Are you going to pick up? And I usually, because of all the work that I'm doing, the step-by-step, I know exactly what phone I have to pick up, what's ringing, and I'm just afraid to do it. So I always say, wow, yep, maybe a couple more panic attacks, a couple more sleepless nights will happen. I've been figuring out what I need to do, but that's just kind of my advice too. The bricks are going to keep laying in front of you. You're like, what the heck do I do next? As you keep putting in the work, you will keep figuring it out. And I believe that you'll be able to do whatever you put your mind to. Founders are scrappy, they work, they jump, they fail, they keep going, but to become a dreamer, to a doer, that's all that I'm telling you guys you have to do. You're the North Star of your business, you're the North Star of your company. Get clear on what you want, don't let anyone stop you, and reverse engineer your life. And again, I can definitely say that I know that you'll make a difference and have a really great business. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much, Carly. Next up, we have Max McChesney.
Thank you, Ian. Hey, everybody, I'm Max McChesney. I was Ian's second choice for this chair tonight. My brother, he's my brother's intern and he's got food poisoning. So here I am. ChatGPT threw together some talking points, so we're gonna see how it goes with the 2 hours notice. But yes, I moved here 3 years ago, didn't go to college in Charleston. I'm from Atlanta and I kind of I graduated in 2010. But my career was certainly not interesting until probably 2015. So I started my company back then. 10 years flew by very quickly. I promise you the same will happen to you. And I started my business for the same reason that so many people I've talked to started their business. I was a disgruntled customer who started looking at people I was trying to give my money to, and I was like, I can do better than these folks. Have y'all ever heard of a coding boot camp? So educational model, might be slowing down a little bit now. I got pretty lucky on timing. But it got started in like 2012. The idea was if you graduate with a finance degree, spend however many years of your life, our average student was 30-year-old men mostly. And they picked the wrong careers. They would come to us and we would kind of whoop their butt for 4 months and turn them into a software engineer and try to get them a job on the back end as well. There was actually one in town. One of our biggest competitors was in Charleston, the Iron Yard. There's still a Iron Yard staff parking sign over on Archdale that if anyone can get for me, I'd love to pay for them. They ended up closing their doors, so I like to think we won. They were great at it, but they had 20 locations. They were Goliath, we were David. And so I always kind of saw them as somebody to beat, you know. But that was the idea. You take in students. I don't know anything about software development. I do now, sort of, but I'm not a software engineer by any means. So I'm more like a concert promoter. I have a stage. I put an instructor who's a 10-year, plus software engineer in it, and then I fill the seats is my job, or it was. So I ran that business for 6 years, and then sold it to a company called Perdoceo Education Corporation. I could talk for a long time about M&A and the lessons learned and the pros and cons of selling and who to and whether or not it's the right fit. It ended up being a great fit for me and my partner, not so much for the business itself, but so I then took 2 years off, and 8 weeks ago I was joyfully unemployed, but now a new idea sort of struck me. And with AI these days, y'all are incredibly lucky and well positioned to be able to run with these ideas, spending next to no money. So I'm now building out the software for a new company. It's called Wild Tribe. I'm about 5 or 6 weeks in. And the business is e-commerce in the outdoor space paired with masterclass style educational content in the outdoors. So think how to go trolling for mahi-mahi, how to hunt white-tailed deer, how to climb a mountain, how to do whatever you think of. All these things that I love to do. I'm passionate about the outdoors. So I'm talking to film studios and going to be over the next 6 months filming these classes. If you know any videographers, come find me afterwards. And then pairing it with curated gear. So you're watching the masterclass style thing on how to climb a mountain. And then under that is all the equipment that you need. So that's my story. Some of the lessons that I've learned, the hard parts are, for me, the people. I like to sort of work in a silo sometimes, try to get my headphones going and just get stuff done. But as a leader, that's not what you're expected to do. We were not born to be managers, my partner and I. And it took us a lot of practice, a lot of mistakes, a lot of key people leaving, some tears. Before we figured it out, sort of, and we're still learning, obviously, you never figure it out, but over communicating is the first lesson I think I learned in managing people. Just sitting next to somebody and working and being friendly with them and grabbing a beer after work is not enough. They want to see a ladder to climb. They want to see a vision for the company, a direction that everybody's going in. And your job as the leader is to keep everyone just over aware of what that direction is. Start at 10 years, then talk about 5. What do we have to be in 5 years to make this ridiculous goal 10 years from now? For us, maybe it was like have 20 campuses and 100,000 students or something like that. And then what do we have to do in 3 years to get to the 5 years, and then 2, and then 1? And as you get closer to today, the vision becomes more clear. We ended up calling this, the company was called Digital Crafts, so we called it DOS, the Digital Crafts Operating System. And it started to work. The employees knew where we were going. They knew what to show up and do every day. And it really all boiled down to the quarterly goals there. So you get all these things that the company is driving towards, and then you would distill it into quarterly goals for your team. People don't have much more than a 90-day sort of context window in their mind of what they can focus on, we found. So the quarterly goals were the bedstone or the rock of the operating system that ended up sort of working for us. But people aren't just your employees. As we sort of figured that out, and culture, culture has to be very intentional. It starts at the top. One of our favorite core values that we came up with was called mop the floors. So we had in-person classes. So mop the floors was basically, if a student spills the coffee on their desk, don't tell me, it's not your job to clean it just because you're an accountant or a finance guy or whatever your job is. Everybody's on the same team. We're all driving towards the same goal. I never want to hear it's not my job. So that was my favorite core value. And it's those kind of things, when you're hearing a presentation for whatever company you want to go work with, it would talk about their core values. And I was like, this is cheesy, whatever. But it actually did matter. And those kind of things, they ended up showing up in the team and the output that we got out of everybody. What would a startup be without pivots? So we had a couple of pivots. One of them, we kept seeing our students get placed by staffing companies, even though we introduced them to the employers. We'd introduce them to Chick-fil-A, and then a staffing company would have to get in the middle because of weird corporate budget restrictions. And so we started a staffing company. We started doing the same thing. It was sort of an experiment. And then 2-3 years later, it ended up that it was about half of our revenue and was a great cushion for hard times, which every business will encounter hard times. You will have some sort of comet that's coming in and it's going to blow you up. For us, it was COVID. COVID struck. We had 3 locations, all this rental lease. Fortunately, we were in short-term co-working facilities mostly, but we were in Atlanta, Houston, and Tampa. We had just opened in Tampa. And suddenly all of our in-person classes, which people paid $15,000 to come to, they paid all this money like you do to come here. And overnight, everybody said we couldn't come in. So I thought we were done for. But we pivoted and we over-communicated to the team. We over-communicated to the customers. We were upfront and honest with everybody. Integrity is also another crucial value to instill in your culture. And we came up with some sort of clever offerings. We partnered with WeWork to give everybody a co-working access and a TA for those people who did want to still come in, because everyone was very split back then. But we transitioned all the classes to online, and I thought we were done. And when you've got 150 students who all paid you $15,000, and then you've got 60 employees all looking at you saying, well, what are we going to do tomorrow? It's a big test. But there was a silver lining in that. We figured it out. We stuck with it. There were definitely some sleepless nights and some stressful moments, but because of it, we actually had our best year yet after COVID, because go figure, online is a better business than physical retail stores for us. And so business just exploded. We were suddenly able to enroll students from all over the country, even some international students. And that led to about 18 months later, having a successful sale of the company. So what I thought was going to kill us ended up being, sort of the thank goodness it happened moment for business. Let's see if I've got any other lessons learned.
I think you've wrapped up your time, but if you want to say a closing remark.
No, that's pretty much it. Luck is a huge part of it. You can't control luck, but you have to be playing the game to get lucky. So that's my last thought.
think we're gonna try to switch to this mic. That one was cutting out just a little bit. Our next speaker, Sylvia Lauren Puree.
Is it working? Oh, there we go. I gotta talk really close into this. I'm Italian, but sometimes you can't tell. I know you guys are. So, hi everybody, how y'all doing? I'm Lauren Fury. I'm so excited to be here today. I see some of my old professors, and we've done a lot of business pitches here, and I've learned a lot. And so, the fact that y'all are all here on a rainy Monday night when you could be inside or at AC's, getting some drinks means a lot. So thank you. I graduated from the College of Charleston in 2019, and I studied business as well as hospitality because I've always loved to cook. And is this too loud at all? Is it okay? Okay, good. And so I was also in the Charleston Scholar Program. And so that's 10 students, and we all interviewed and we met with CEOs, a lot of leaders, and learned a lot. Is anybody here in that program interested in it? Oh, what was that?
They're at it right now. There's an event.
Can I go without this, or can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So, thank you. So, I've, thank you. I've made the most of my time here with the help of my many mentors who I've took a lot of notes from. And I think that an important lesson as an entrepreneur now is to always look for mentors. While we can learn a lot ourselves here at the school, to be humble and notice that you always have more to learn is a critical trait to have. And so now I am, 6 years out of college. I've hosted 600 private dinner parties, and I built my own website here at the business school lobby, and I've never purchased an advertisement in my life. I'm very thankful for the word of mouth and the relationships that I built. And I think that when you're in the business school, it's important to learn these skills that can help you as you go upon your entrepreneurial journey. I took some notes here so I don't skip anything. So I'm a private chef, and so what that means is I cook for in-home dinner parties, whether it's a cooking class, a bachelorette party, a special occasion. I started my business down in the luxury community of Montage, Palmetto Bluff, and I've cooked for families and celebrities, and whoever I'm cooking for, I always want to make sure it's a VIP experience. And so to me, that means making sure that they have an experience and a memory that they can remember and smile. And it's about the food, but it's also about what I'm teaching them. Because every dinner party, if they're interested, includes a cooking class. And so I've cooked for, and they told me it's okay to share, Ryan Seacrest and many other celebrities, and I'm still very fond of them, and vice versa. I'm also a television host and producer on SCETV, which is our state public broadcasting system. And so it's the state PBS, if any of y'all are familiar. And so we just wrapped up our second season. And one of the gentlemen that helped fund our show is actually someone who helps direct the Charleston Scholar Program. So you never know how your efforts during school could help you in your future. So take every relationship seriously. And how to do that is always write handwritten thank you notes. We live in an era where there's ChatGPT. I use it sometimes, chat, whatever it's called. But handwritten thank you notes go a really long way. And I know if I receive one, I'll always remember it. For example, you students today wrote us all handwritten thank you notes. And always be kind to the person next to you, because let's face it, we're all going through hard things. You never know what someone's going through. And how you handle your life is how you'll handle your business. So business is not transactional. It is sometimes, but the core of it is all based in relationships. And so you want to be proud of the life that you lead, and the business skills can come with that. But the person you are will
go a long way. Don't get distracted. So stay focused on your craft. Time is precious and time is money, and it's very limited. So how you wake up every morning, if you go and exercise, that's great. Or if you go read or do something good for yourselves, no matter what it is, maybe it's making a bunch of espresso like I do or strong coffees, whatever it takes. And this one's big. Have grit. Does anybody know what that means? So grit is focus on your long-term goals and the dedication to do what it takes to make your long-term dreams happen. And so for me, that was working in restaurants, learning skills, seeking out apprenticeships with chefs that I admired. I didn't just take any line cook job. I wanted to work in restaurants that taught me the skills that I needed in order to run a private chef business. So just because there's many opportunities, having the diligence to pick jobs that help you go towards your goals is very important. And just like when you're cooking, did any of y'all like to cook? Oh, excellent. We're gonna all cook sometime. So there's a skill in cooking called mise en place, and in French it means everything in its place. So before you start cooking, you want to organize your ingredients and make sure you're ready to go when the stove's hot, and you want to be prepared when your guests arrive. The same holds with business. If you're not prepared, you're setting yourself up for a kitchen disaster. And you're only as strong as your word. Do what you say and mean what you say. And if you make a promise, keep it, because once you break that, it's hard to come back from that. Years of hard work in doing that can be ruined by making a mistake like that. And always keep learning. So I still reach out to my mentors from college, and we still talk on the phone as often as we can. And now we're at the point where I can learn about them some more, and they can learn about what I'm doing. And their mentors it's like a long-term business relationship that you can have for as long as you can keep it, and it's always evolving. So always try to get a mentor, save your money, keep track of your expenses, and be very diligent about where you're spending it, and try to read about personal finance if you can. That'll help you a lot, especially during, after college, and forever. And there's a really good book called The Millionaire Next Door. I highly recommend it. My mom told me to read it, and I did. And it's a really good book. So thanks so much for having me. And if y'all ever need anything, there's my website, my Instagram, and I'll happily get a coffee with you anytime. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lauren. Next up, we have Matt.
What facts to follow? How's my volume right now? Y'all good in the back? Okay. All right, here's a scenario that I'm sure most of us are familiar with. You're on social media, Instagram, TikTok, you see this beautiful young lady dressed like a model. She's given this highly choreographed tour of $1 million mansion, and it's professionally edited. And then you might scroll some more and you see this really handsome young man, and he's got his hat on and his blue belt, and he's saying, you know, follow me. I'm going to show you how I'm going to flip this house, and I'm going to make it. They make it all look really easy, glamorous. So if that's the case, why is it then that 87% of real estate agents fail within the first year? 75% of them fail within 2 years. It can't be that easy, right? I mean, we only see the tip of the iceberg. The hidden hustle beneath the surface is the grind that most people just don't talk about. It's the boring minutia that all entrepreneurs have to do to make that grand presentation, thing that impresses everybody. So what I'm going to try to do in 7 minutes or 6.5 now is just pull back the curtain for a moment, talk about what it takes to succeed in real estate and how it can be a game changer for ambitious young entrepreneurs like yourself. See, real estate, it's not just about selling houses or flipping investment properties. There's a hidden hustle that demands grit, strategy, and adaptability. You know, your clients, they don't see the late nights that you spend doing paperwork, studying market trends, refining your marketing strategy. They don't really consider the endless phone calls and questions on your off hours because, you know, their off hours are expected to be your on hours. You have to make yourself available at all times and be gracious about it because at the end of the day, you're providing a service to them. And it's very important to them that you do a good job when they need it. The hidden hustle, I'm using this term quite literally, taking the theme extreme, I suppose. The hidden hustle lies in your commitment to building trust in the face of seemingly endless competition. You're learning to negotiate with integrity when emotions are high and becoming an expert problem solver. If you think about it, real estate's kind of like running your own little startup. You got to be the CEO, you got to be the head of sales, you got to be the marketer, you got to be the admin, you got to be the handyman. And there's no salary safety net. You only eat what you kill. You don't make a sale, you don't make any money. But that's also what makes it so exciting. You know, you can control your own success, and really the sky is the limit. Your ceiling, your earning potential is unlimited. So here's why I think real estate's perfect for college students. Real estate rewards relationships. And you're already building your network. You're doing it every day in clubs like this, socially, through your classes. You know, your friend whose parents are thinking about buying a condo, that's a lead. If you have a professor that owns some rental properties, that's a potential mentor for you. This entire business of real estate revolves around relationships. But you need to understand that just having the relationship doesn't guarantee you the business. You still have to earn it. It took me a long time and a lot of hurt feelings to figure that out, but that's the real world. This is business. The other reason that I think real estate is a great industry for college students is that you can dip your toes in the water right now. You don't have to have a college degree. You don't have to have a pile of money to get started. You can seek out successful agents, ask if they need part-time help, and offer up your time and skills in exchange for the real world experience from a pro. And that's how I got my start many years ago. But be prepared for the mundane because it's the consistency of doing the simple yet crucial things every day, day in and day out, that builds the success of a successful real estate business. The third reason that I think that this is applicable to college students is that, you know, technology is really your superpower, probably more so than you all realize it. You know, smartphones, social media, AI, I mean, that wasn't even on the radar of like 90% of the heavy hitters in the real estate industry. There's a lot of dinosaurs out there that are doing really well off of relationships. But you can leverage your knowledge of technology, social media to your advantage. Social media and technology can help you identify trends, market properties, build your own personal brand. So use that digital expertise to offer value to your followers and the professionals that you might want. There's going to be challenges. Real estate can be quite the roller coaster. You know, one day you're riding high, and then the next day, client ghosts you, deal falls apart, and the entire market can just take a turn for the worse. You have no control over that stuff. So get comfortable with rejection and perseverance. You know, for some perspective, you may not realize that 62% of realtors in their first 2 years made less than $10,000 a year. I mean, it truly can be a grind, especially in those early years. So how do you beat the odds? Well, I'd say start with education. Take courses here at the College of Charleston on the real estate basics. Take some real estate licensing courses. Again, you can shadow a local agent. Be resilient. Treat every no as a step closer to a yes. Don't be too proud to literally roll up your sleeves, clean up someone else's mess if that's what it takes to move. And the third, and probably the most important advice I could give to you is focus on a niche. Real estate has unlimited opportunities across hundreds of sectors within the industry. So just think beyond houses. You know, I took a CCIM course in this very building years ago with commercial practitioners from all over the country. And you'd be shocked at the diversity and specializations that these folks have. I mean, you might find yourself interested in recreation tracks, could be tourism related, it could be warehousing, it could be medical. You know, there's somebody who makes their living building relationships with farmers and landowners to lease a 10 by 10 square of their property next to the interstate so they could build. That's what they do for a living. I would have never even thought that that was a job, but that's somebody's job in real estate. So if you specialize early, you'll stand out as an expert in your field eventually. So just kind of in closing, I'd like to say that real estate is not just about houses. It's about hustle, it's about relationships and opportunities. It's a chance to build wealth while you can still directly impact someone's life. You can start now early while you're still in college. Hidden hustle, it means showing up, being available. Well, pushing through when things get tough, because they will get tough. And start small. Network, learn, experiment. Just start with one small step. Maybe you pop into an open house. Maybe you send a real estate professional a message on social media if you saw something cool that you're promoting. But whatever it is, just take the first step. Even if it's not in real estate, if you find something that you're passionate about, then the hustle's going to come naturally for you. So thank you.
Next up, we have Grace Miller Moody.
Everyone, while singing is my forte, public speaking, I don't know if it is or not. So, I do like speak on the mic a lot, but this is really new to me. So I'm excited to be here with you guys and share my story. And hopefully you can take something with you that is helpful and help you in your journey. I am just honored to be here and share how music has impacted my life, not just creatively, but from a business and personal growth perspective. I'm first going to start with a verse that was really heavy on my heart when I first started to sing and when I found my passion and my purpose in life. It is, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not harm you, plans to give you hope and a future," which is Jeremiah 29:11. I wanted to begin with this verse because faith is my foundation. I started to run on fumes rather than fuel when I was performing. And I got really just dried out of everything and doing music. And once I started to place my identity in my faith rather than my talent, I started to really get more excited about things and be more fueled for the better things. And I'm sure you all know as business people, I saw a YouTube video of 5 billionaires sitting on a table and they were like, you have to prioritize your rest. If you don't prioritize your rest, then you won't be present in the best moments. And so that was when I kind of started to realize I needed to be reminded that while I can't see the full picture, God always has his hand on it and he's always working through it. So I want to start with singing and how that started. I sort of started singing like my whole life and it was mainly in private. I would sing in the car, in the shower, in front of my family. And as you all know, your family can be kind of biased. So I didn't really think too much of it. I really didn't think I wanted to do anything with singing at all. And I came to College of Charleston. I was majoring in English. So writing was really always a passion of mine as well. But little did I know, later on in life, I'd be doing songwriting. So I didn't know that was going to tie in. But yeah, I started doing psychology. That was my major as a junior. And I just really felt like I was running through the motions. I had no idea what I was doing. I was a college student. I was, out on the weekends, kind of just didn't have the right priorities. And, I didn't know who I was. I didn't know my identity at all. And that was when I felt like, okay, I need to find something. And I started playing with this guy who was from Florence. He was looking for a vocalist to sing with him. And I was like, okay, great. I can start doing this with him and I can use my voice. And my first performance was at Slightly North of Broad, downtown, which all you know is like, I don't know how many people they can hold in there, probably like 30 people maybe more than that. But that was really small for me. And again, I had never sang in front of anyone, like besides my family. So when people were coming up to me and telling me, hey, like, you have a good voice, like, this is really good, I started to see like the validation of others, which I'm not saying you should find that as your motivation, but it did make me think, okay, singing could be something. And my dad, my biggest supporter, sent me an email of the voice auditions. I thought nothing of it. I was like, okay, whatever. Like, it's just the voice. Like, I'm not gonna get on this. This will never happen for me. Little did I know, I did the video. It wasn't in front of anyone, so I was like, okay, video's fine. I did Jolene by Dolly Parton, and as I came to find out later, a lot of people actually auditioned with that song, which was cool to kind of talk about that. But yeah, I did that, and then I got an email back saying, hey, you got to call back, and I was like, oh, this is a scam. This is not real at all. I checked the emails so many times. It's like, this is not real. And then after that, shortly after, I got a call, hey, you're coming out to LA. And I was like, whoa, there's no way. There's no way that they're flying me out to LA on their dime, especially. And then I called my dad. My dad almost dropped the phone. He like screamed over the phone. And this was just such a surreal moment in my life. I remember that day I was gonna go to the library and study. I couldn't function after that. But I was thrown into a world of stylists, vocal coaches, jam sessions, and television production, all built around talent, but also around my story and other stories. As you know, television is based on a story. They have to kind of build on that. So I had to have a story behind my song Sunday Morning. When I started singing Sunday Morning, before that, we got to sit in the back. So we got to hear everyone's audition the day before, and you got put in a line, and I think I was sixth in the line. And so I got to hear all the people before me. No one had gotten chair turns that day at all. So I kept telling myself, okay, one chair turn, that's it. That's all I need. And as I'm standing in the back about to come in, I asked God, enter the room before me. My family was in there, my biggest supporters. As I entered the room, you could hear my feet clicking on the ground. I was so nervous. But there goes Adam Levine, Michael Bublé, John Legend, Kelsey Ballerini, all turn around. I was in shock. I got to the part of like, yeah, yeah. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, what am I doing right now? I was so hyped. I don't know if like I can say that. I know I'm young, so all of you know that. I was just so excited. And the guy actually got off the stage and he was de-micing me and he was like, how did it feel? And I was like, I blacked out. Like, I don't remember. It literally felt like a full dream, like I was having an out-of-body experience. But after The Voice, I returned to Charleston, got a bunch of residency gigs. I'm sure y'all saw me on like the news and stuff. It was great. I mean, you know, I was really getting recognition for my voice, and then being in such a creative space where people are telling you you're good. You're like, what are you talking about? You're insane. Like, you're amazing. And you're telling me I'm good. So it was a huge confidence boost. And I almost felt like I did my career backwards. Like, all these people that were out in LA had worked for this dream. They were there and they were like, okay. And it kind of felt like God was like, here, I'm going to give you this. Now take it and let's work with it. And I was like, okay, let's do it. And when I came back, I started doing gigs weekly. And again, I was running on fumes rather than fuel. I was making $600 a night, which was amazing. And that was, you know, like, that's great. I can pay for studio time. I can pay for someone playing with me. I can pay for merchandise. I can pay for whatever music needs to be with and provided with. Even with consistent pay and public recognition, I wasn't feeling fulfilled at all. Some nights only 5 to 10 people would show up. And that was the worst part. I was basing my worth in that number. Then shortly after, as this was all happening, my dad just kept telling me consistency. Consistency is key. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna keep showing up. I'm gonna keep doing the gigs. Then I performed Dreams, and The Voice is all pre-recorded except the finals. But everything else is pre-recorded, so I knew what was happening after. And I left feeling so proud of myself because I have never done anything like that and never been in such an uncomfortable position to be put on a stage like that and sing in front of the biggest names in the music industry. But as I was doing that, the Dreams by Fleetwood Mac got put out on the internet. And I felt so proud of it. Stevie Nicks has always been one of the most influential people I have ever known, and I just love her. And a lot of people said I sounded like her. So I did Dreams, and I was so excited to do the song, and it hit the internet. I did not do it as good as Stevie Nicks, is what everyone had to say about it. A lot of people had a lot of negative comments about it, and that was something I was not ready for at all. And social media tore me down a lot, but it didn't tear me down completely. I instead wrote my first original song called Down That Road. It's about just me finding my music career and finding myself through it, and knowing that I can be whoever I want to be. I just have to be confident in who I'm going to be. And Down That Road still talks about Stevie Nicks. I was like, you're not gonna ruin the Stevie Nicks for me, trust me. So I kept Stevie Nicks in it. I said I'm on television, NBC, and it's just a really cool song because that was, again, where I started my career. And then I started praying differently too. I asked God, I said, hey, remove all this stuff that you don't want in my life, like the stuff that is not helping me get where I need to go. Then after that, the residency gigs were slowly kind of falling off, and that was really hard because I was like, okay, is it something I'm doing? But then I was like, no, okay, these are good for me because, again, I'm not running on fumes. I'm running on fuel now. I have time to make music, to prioritize how to be creative. I started to invest in a brand, a sound, and my strategy. I invested in studio time, visuals. I brainstormed merchandise. I started building content with a purpose. And I learned how to show up vulnerably and consistently on social media, which is so hard. I'm sure you all know. A lot of artists are asked to be content creators and to be something else. And I'm not a person who loves to share my life on social media at all. So that was really hard for me. And then the truth is, the music industry is really heavily relationship based. I've had label interest, writing sessions in Nashville, and collaboration offers, some that honored my voice and some that didn't. I went out to Nashville a few weeks ago and I got in one room and the guy was like, all right, like, what do you want to do? I pulled out something I wrote. We pulled it apart and we built upon what I wanted to do in my artistry. He didn't tear me apart and put me in a box or put me in a genre or anything like that. Then I got into another room and a guy did try to fit me into a box. He tried to write the full song for me and do everything. And in that moment, instead of taking it negatively, I soaked it all in. I soaked in, how do I write a hook? How do I make a hit song? How do I make myself better in this industry? And I'm going to tell you, authenticity is your key. No one can be you. No one can be you at all. So being you is going to make it different from everyone. And also, don't go the easy route. Someone told me the other day, they were like, hey, you can be the next Taylor Swift. You can go into country, do country all you want, and then you can do whatever you want whenever you get the name. I don't want that. I don't want the easy way in. I want to work for what I'm going to get. And all of you should be like fueled by that. Like, you know, like when you hear someone say that and then you see someone who's up at the top and they've worked hard for what they want, it's so much better. It's so much more rewarding. Don't water yourself down to fit anything. Build something real, even if it takes time. This journey isn't linear. I've had incredible highs, like singing in front of millions on national TV, and deeply discouraging lows where I had 30 people show up to a headlining show. But I went out there and I said, hey, these 30 people are going to be my fans. And I hope you guys can take away that if you take away anything, your dream will be lonely. It'll be really lonely. I've had a lot of lonely moments in this. But if you keep showing up behind closed doors and in public, even when no one's clapping, you're your biggest opponent. Overcome yourself, your fear, and your shame. Move forward. Don't look back. Live in the present. That way you'll be ready for when the big moment comes. I saw a video of Olivia Dean. The day after I had the headlining performance and I only had 30 people there. I saw a video of her and she said, I only had 5 people. I only had 5 people. And she said that was building a character because now you see her, she's up on big stages. She has so much confidence. She was like a character's been built. So that just made me even more excited. And again, Jeremiah 29:11 reminded me that God had a plan for me before I saw it. And while the voice was a huge milestone, I know the biggest moments are still ahead. And I don't plan around to sit and wait. I plan to be ready. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Grace. And next up, class, we have Jay.
All right. I was gonna leave with the excuse that I only found out about this 6 hours ago until Max stole my thunder with his 2 hour notice, so. And you did great. Yeah, they gave me 6. So my story is gonna be a little bit more of a cautionary tale about when to than how to. You've heard a lot about how to, and this is the younger people in the group have been very inspirational. But I'm a lawyer. I finished law school in 1997 after going to college at the school across town where people wear uniforms and march around like this guy did, but a lot earlier than you. And so I went to law school, and when I was in law school, there was sort of an unspoken rule. I happened to do really well in law school, and people that did really well in law school were sort of expected to go work for the big corporate defense firms around the state or around the region. And so I just followed that path. That's what the professor said that I should do. So I went to work for a big defense firm here in South Carolina, and I did litigation. I was representing defendants. So everybody knows in a civil lawsuit, you've got the plaintiff, or as the young man on the back row likes to say, I'm the suer. So you got the plaintiff and you got the defendant. So I was defending large corporations, and I enjoyed the sophistication of the work. I enjoyed the salary. I enjoyed the prestige of working at the big firm, and I enjoyed defending my clients when I thought they were right. But most of what I did was try to take somebody who had been catastrophically injured or killed and figure out how I could get them the least amount of money possible. That was my job, and it was not very rewarding. But I did it. I just kept doing it because I thought that was what I was supposed to do. I knew I was on the wrong side of the fight, but I was afraid to make a change, right? So I kept doing that for 3 years, and then I decided, well, I'm just going to double down. I'm just going to go work for an even bigger firm. Now I'm going to work for a 200 lawyer firm instead of a 100 lawyer firm, and maybe I'll sort of find the job satisfaction and the fulfillment in doing that. Well, all that did was really sort of just delay what I had been putting off. The realization that I viewed doing something that I wanted to be doing is taking a step back, as starting over. It was something that was uncomfortable and something, frankly, that I was really, really afraid of. But I got really lucky. And I had the opportunity to join a firm here in Charleston. And I moved here. I went to work on the other side of the V, as they say. I became the suer. And I really found that I had gotten so much more fulfillment from finally doing what it was that I really wanted to be doing. I really enjoyed fighting for the folks who had been injured, the folks who were on the other side where they had been aggrieved, and I really enjoyed that. There was a personal connection that was really meaningful to me. And so I learned, and I grew, and I developed a network. But then after several years, I found myself in about the same position again. I'm working for a pretty big firm. I'd been managing the firm for 12 years. I really wasn't happy. I felt like I'd sort of gotten all that I could get out of that job, and I was looking to do more. And so I was talking to a mentor of mine, and I can't emphasize, you've heard it from these folks, the importance of having mentors. Even at my age, I've been doing this for 27 years. I'm in my mid-50s, and I still have mentors that I rely on. So I was talking to a mentor, and I told him kind of about my professional experience at that moment, and that I was kind of restless. And he did something that really changed the trajectory of my career. He said, "Why don't you just open an office for us?" I was like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Just go rent an office and start doing what you do." He goes, you're well known, you're qualified, you work in a practice area that we're really interested in getting involved in, and we've always wanted to have an office in Charleston. I said, "You know what? I think that actually sounds pretty good, right?" I got one child in the room. He was a child at the time. I knew I'd be making literally no money. We talked about eat what you kill. This was an eat what you kill job. I was going to have no salary. I had 2 youngish children, but it was a great opportunity, and I took the leap. So there are a few people that probably know the movie Jerry Maguire, right? 1996, before most of you were born, but there's a movie, Tom Cruise He sort of loses a job and he goes, he makes this big impassioned speech about how he's leaving. He's going to start this competitive, this other company. And he gets to the end of the speech and he says, who's with me? Who's coming with me? So I go back to my firm and I do the exact same thing. I'm leaving. I'm going to do this new thing. Who's coming with me? One hand, one sheepish hand, one of my paralegals. She said, I'll come with you. So on January 1st of 2017, we walked out the door, we started a law firm. Just me, paralegal, no clients, no cases, no salary, right? But I had an idea. I had worked on really large cases in really large firms. And I knew that I had the skills to take all that I knew and all of my connections and do it with a really small group of people. And so my idea was I'm going to have a really small team and I'm going to go head to head with the biggest firms in the country. And I'm going to do that because I'm going to partner with the right ones and I'm going to get myself involved by utilizing my network in the biggest cases around. And since that time, I've been very fortunate to have worked on some of the largest cases in South Carolina history and the history of the United States. If any of you are familiar with the VC Summer nuclear abandonment that involved Santee Cooper and Dominion Energy, I worked on those cases that we resolved for $700 million that we put in the pockets of people like people in this room that pay their utility bills. I've worked on the opioid litigation on behalf of states and local governments that has recovered at this point $56 billion. And I've done that with a lawyer, a couple lawyers, a couple paralegals, and I've gone toe to toe with the biggest firms in the country because I found what I was really passionate about. I hustled, right? Grit, we've heard about grit. These things are important. If you find what you're passionate about, you utilize your network, you ask for help, it's amazing the success that will find you, okay? So I want to suggest to you, you got a lot of people up here that found this right out of school, or some that didn't finish school. They didn't need to finish school to find their success. And I really admired that. But some of you may not have the courage. It takes a lot of courage and you might follow that traditional path. And if you do, that's great. Learned a ton, met a lot of people, and it was those things that I collected along the way that enabled me to go do what I really wanted to have been doing for the last 20 years, right? So that's part of it. But what I would suggest to you is do this now and do this every year, no matter how old you are, okay? Sit down and take 15 minutes and decide for yourself, what do I want to be doing 5 years from now? I think that is your long-term plan. And when you figure out what you want to be doing 5 years from now, then figure out what you need to do for the next year, just 1 year, to get from where you are right now to where you want to be 5 years from now, right? So that might be, you need more education, you need to learn a skill, maybe you need to get a graduate degree, maybe you need to expand your network. But if you have the long-range plan and the short-term focus, and you do that year after year after year after year, I will promise you that you will always be getting better and you will always be getting closer to that goal. And hopefully for you, it won't take you 20 years to get there. So I think in keeping with the theme, there really is no blueprint. It's really just a question of having the courage to start growing. So good luck. Thank you.
I just want to say thank you to all of our amazing speakers. Can we get one more round of applause? Please stay back. We're going to do some networking in the lobby. We'll have some light bites, water, update, everything like that. But thanks everyone for coming.
More than 30.
How are you?
I don't know, I was saying no on the little thing. I was so proud to do it.
Scale of 1 to 10. What's up, my man? Anything worthy of congratulations, but thank you.
No, it's been fun.
Thanks for coming.
It's so fun. You told me it was like special for you. Like that. I mean, I just, yeah.
I think it's my first time met
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, unless they made him good. So.
I would should.
They are. Frequencies are way too close together, so y'all need to turn those off.
Maybe how are you?
I do. It's my job.
My mom.
Okay.
I got something.
Yeah.
Okay, oh, good. Join tomorrow.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm gonna go to choice tonight.
That's my real job. It's not free. I'm way out.
It's not the last letter I said. Thank God. It was on theme, and that was the best I could do, given the.
Very much away. Yeah, nice to meet you. I didn't know this was